There were simply legends about this. The third is a so-called Lanos, around the industrial zone, either by hand or with your own knife. At that time, it was actually something of a breakthrough. You know, I still remember one businessman who really pleasantly surprised me. This was already about 6 years ago, but at that time, it really was something of a breakthrough. Among small and medium-sized businesses, because the target audience was described very poorly, people didn't understand why it was necessary to do this. They wanted to start using the tool straight away without answering such ontological questions as for what purpose and in what way. So, trudging through snowdrifts in the industrial zone, I made my way to the office of an entrepreneur who dealt with heating and water supply. One of those topics that I often recall, probably in honour of this bike, who this person was and how he described his target audience in a really brilliant way, and this could serve as an example for a great many business people. It's valuable for me to share this because I was pleasantly surprised, and for quite some time there were simply legends about it circulating in the office. So I arrive, making my way through. I brush the snow off myself and the negotiations begin. Inside. Invited her to become a contractor for Google advertising because he wanted to try out this tool. But before that, he had already been working with Facebook advertising. And even before he started working with Facebook advertising, one of the gurus of internet marketing told him that his audience wasn't on social media. But he didn't believe it and decided to give it a go. He brought in advertising specialists. It wasn't us, but what did they tell him to do? A description of the target audience, and he did it the way he understood it. So to speak, up until this point, he was doing everything by hand. Well, not literally by hand, but driving around the outskirts in his own car, looking for clients himself, or rather, on his own. After that, he stopped surging because the advertising did its job. He managed to get about 260 individual clicks, of which 60, well, there were genuine inquiries and direct hits from the specific target audience, and from all of that, a total of 11 separate projects actually came out of it, and that figure represented roughly half of this entire business's annual capacity. What did he do? He created an advert that was based on a clear description of the target audience. He divided his target audience into 3 parts. First, so to speak, the first notional group is the Range Rover. This is the coolest audience. That is a man aged 45 plus, building not his first house. He doesn't check the product himself, he trusts. Everything's in order on his building site. He is ready to buy more expensive equipment, so that later, after say 1 season, the bill for heating and utilities will be cheaper. That's the first description. The second part of the target audience, so to speak, he called Toyota. Toyota means that this is a businessman 30 to 40 years old, building his first house, doesn't trust others, accepts the goods himself. Not willing to pay extra, not interested in saving money. So him, save on tools right away is more important than the heating bill later on. And he didn't trust and was ready, such a Toyota client, was ready to listen to someone who wasn't a professional because he was building his first house, but also order on the building site. The third is the so-called Lanos type. The so-called Lanos type. This means a person aged 40 plus, chaos on the building site. The system is cobbled together from different elements, often of various kinds: building whenever there's money. There's often no money. The build has already been going on for about 10 years. And his wife is always knocking him off the path of construction that he has in mind. And this description is made in a very simple way. In response to simple questions, it allowed him to stop searching manually, on foot and by hand, when he used to travel around the outskirts looking for clients. He was provided with work for 6 months ahead, and he wanted, even before advertising in the Facebook ecosystem, well, the future goal, to add Google as well. And when I arrived at the office with information about these avatars and showed it to the team, we were very impressed and made a very good offer. And for you, we will make a very good offer, especially if you have descriptions of your avatars. Even if you don't,